Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragon. I am your host, as always, Stephen Stark, and joining me this week, we've got John, we've got Amy, who's been on a time or two, and we've got Geaulllie. Geaulllie, you were on once before, right?
Yes, the celebration
Yeah.
stream.
Okay, yeah. I don't have the best memory, and a lot of people, but yes. Now, this week we're talking about a film called Attack the Block, which I had not seen. But Geaulllie recommended it very highly, and I guess here we are to talk about it. I have seen the film now. I watched it earlier today, as a matter of fact.
Yep, same here.
And Amy, you also had not seen it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I watched it for the first time last night, and because of the title, I thought it was like where they had to do like a Mario style attack the block or something in order to save the world. I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. But I realized the block means like, the street. So that's good.
Or their building, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't seen it. John hadn't seen it. Amy hadn't seen it. Geaulllie kept telling us all, you have to watch this movie. And now I have. So, but you know what? Before we get started, though, Amy and Geaulllie, you guys are not regulars here. So tell everybody who you are, what you do out there, in case somebody who's not a regular stumbles upon this video somehow.
Go ahead, Geaulllie.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
Geaulllie.
Well, I am Geaullie, All Hail the Night Queen. I have a YouTube channel which has 2 whole videos on it, and I'm very proud of them. But yeah, so my YouTube channel is called All Hail the Night Queen, and as soon as I get a new idea, I will make a new video.
Yep. Link is down in the description, both to your Twitter and to your YouTube. And then,
Awesome.
Amy, who are you? Who the heck are you?
Hi, I'm Amy, aka Amy Blackfire. I have a blog about non-Western symbolism in A Song of Ice and Fire and more. And I actually just did, let me see if I can never point the right way in this thing. I just did a collab essay with this beautiful woman over here about the shade of the evening trees. And we had Crowfoot's daughter and Archmaester Emma on to talk about it. And so I've been doing a lot of stuff with some other people in the fandom. And yeah, I'm a PhD student of Chinese literature. And so I look at Western fantasy through an Eastern lens. And I also just did a video with a lovely man in the chat, Dan, aka Voice of Geekdom, about his Dark Materials and what to expect for season 2. So I'm kind of all over the place, and I've been a big part of the Dragon fam for a bit. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and
my YouTube channel, I read the essays to you, so you don't have to read them if you don't want to.
it's good for like listening while driving.
You know, Amy, you and I should collaborate sometime.
Yeah. Also, I'm co-host of Geaullie, John Webster film. This I could definitely point correctly on this one. This guy up here. We just did a fabulous stream last night about Quentin Tarantino. We had a really good time. So, yeah, I've been watching a lot more movies in general because of this guy. So.
Right on, right on. And for the record, both Amy and Geaulllie, the Night's Queen, we all play D&D together with a couple other people from the fan community. But yeah, and
They haven't gotten me yet.
no, not yet. You keep playing, but you keep resisting.
Just wait.
I've just figured out the way to get you to join our D&D group. And
You can play a character named Kira, who's a beautiful woman.
no, I'm going to put an NPC in the game named Mura Kitely, who is a beautiful badass.
Pirate Queen?
Yeah. So like. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Attack the Block. So Geaulllie, I'm going to save you for last. You probably have the most well-developed opinions about this. I will just go first. Okay. This movie did not blow me away. I found it to be quite good. I enjoyed it. And I can see where it's doing its social commentary thing the way good horror and sci-fi does. But it didn't blow me away. I thought it was clever, thought it was well acted. I thought maybe it was a bit heavy-handed in places. But overall, I really did enjoy it. John Boyega's great. I don't know any of the other actors' names in there. Um, the lady that was the nurse, she was really good. All the younger actors were fantastic too. It's just, I don't know, it didn't hook me, but I did enjoy it, and I probably would watch it again. You know.
I will say the nurse, her name is Jodie Whittaker. She's actually the latest doctor on Doctor Who.
Oh, I recognized her, but I didn't know from where. I don't watch Doctor Who. Y'all know this. Oh well.
Well, neither do I. I'm just a nerd when it comes to actors and actresses. So.
And just actors, because men and women do the same job.
Yes.
I'm sorry, John. I will forever give people crap about that.
Just have it, Amy.
Yeah. So, John, overall thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, as far as it blowing me away, I don't know if it did that, but I wasn't really looking for it to. But I thought it was great. I'd probably watch it again. Yeah, it was good.
Right. Okay. Amy, what'd you think?
I really liked it, and it did blow me away, Stephen. Thank you for asking.
Hey, that's where we have people with different opinions.
I think that I like that the social commentary was a little bit more out there. It really didn't hide the ball on that, and I kind of liked this kind of roaming gang of young boys kind of trying to prove themselves, kind of a little bit of toxic masculinity going on, trying to be like, we're going to defeat some aliens, you know? So it really, it had a lot of, I think, callbacks to a lot of some good sci-fi, but it also kind of was wanting to do, I think, what sci-fi is naturally good at doing, which is talking about societal problems. Fantasy is also a good genre for that. That's why I love both of those together. A lot of people say SFF, right? Sci-fi and fantasy. And so I loved kind of the way that it comes full circle with, you know, the nurse who almost gets mugged, but then in the end, whenever the aliens are attacking, has to work with the kids that almost mugged her, right? So I love the classic kind of working together.
She did not get almost mugged. She got mugged.
She got fully mugged, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Ain't no almost about that one.
Yeah, they took her stuff. That's true. And I also liked the kind of F the police stuff going on. I'll just have to say that too. The police looked dumb in this movie.
They really did. Okay, so Geaullie, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Feel free to pontificate. Convince me why this movie is better than I thought it was.
I don't think she has to convince you, Stephen.
Well, I would like her to try.
Okay. Well, if you've seen the movie, you think it's all right, that's good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like, I'm not saying it was bad at all. I actually rather enjoyed it. But it didn't quite reach like this is going to be a classic in 20 years level for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe that's me trying to hold it to too high a standard. It probably is realistically, but like you recommended it so highly, I thought I would be blown away a little more.
Yeah. Well, I thought, because my sister and I saw the trailer, and we were like, yeah, want to watch that movie. We didn't expect much from it. Just, you know, some funny movie. And we watched it together, and we were like, that is a very nice movie, especially with the budget that it has. It has like $8 million as a
I'm going to
budget.
talk about that at some length too.
So, and it was a first time movie for the director and for the actor John Boyega. So that was also fun. I really liked the on the one hand the caricature type stuff, but I like also the realness of like living in an estate in the south of London, like in a poor neighborhood that gets a really bad rep. in the media, and it's always portrayed like there's something wrong, and there is, because there's a lot of poor people living there, so there's a lot of like social housing and all that stuff. And so I thought the idea was funny, like a couple of little guys, just little boys, really, just stopping an alien invasion. I like the, yeah, this, it's, I prefer mostly British movies.
Okay.
I can relate more to British
Right.
movies.
It is a different sensibility for sure.
Yeah, it's more European, British. It's like the colors don't like go like crazy. It's not. It's just more real to me,
Okay.
because of also European culture. British culture and Dutch culture are closely related, and yeah, so
Yeah, that I understand. Like culturally, it's closer to you than American anyway.
mhm.
I get that. And you know, okay, so we've talked in broad terms. Let me say something just absolutely nice about this film, because I feel like maybe people think I was a bit too, maybe I came off a little bit too harsh in my initial comments, because I did actually like it, you know. I guess maybe, but one thing that I am aware of is that it is like, you can tell it does not have a very high budget, but like they did not let that be a limiting factor. Like and you said it's a first time director as well. They understand shots and how to shoot action. I thought they actually did a really good job with that. And I also thought it was a really neat idea. And Sanjeev or Anna's going to disagree with me on this one because of what she just posted, but I actually thought it was a really neat idea to have the aliens be so pitch black. Like, that's not something you do very often. It lets them hide in the dark in a way that even other monsters can't, because you just can't even see them except for their glowing teeth. Plus, that is some easy CGI, man. You just black them out. You just black them out completely. And that's probably saved a lot of money on that $8 million budget.
Yeah, I like the simplicity of them.
All right.
It also kind of reminded me of the cryptids if anyone knows what a cryptid is, it's kind of like Bigfoot or the Jersey Devil, but there's this black dog cryptid. So that kind of reminded me of that, these hellhound kind of animals. So it's also kind of already in the zeitgeist. And so I found that interesting. And the fact that other than the glowing mouths, right, you really can't see them. It makes them kind of scarier. And I honestly didn't think they looked that ridiculous. I didn't think they were like super scary, but I didn't think it was like, they didn't look like, terrible puppets or anything. I thought it was pretty well done, especially for what they were working with. Definitely. So, and also something I'm hoping we might be able to talk about a little bit about is also the integration of hip hop into the movie. I really enjoyed that as a really big hip hop fan.
I'll just say, as far as the aliens themselves, I mean, most of the time I think that the design of the aliens is almost beside the point, because there's commentary going on within the film, which I found to be the really interesting aspect of it. But I thought that they were done well, and obviously the point was to have them at first appear to be some kind of dog-like animals, so that they could be dismissed by people who are like, aliens, are you crazy? They're not aliens. But I thought they were pulled off really well, and yeah, the fact that they're for the most part so dark, it does make it easier to pull off on a small budget. But no, I thought they were done well. And I don't know, Stephen, I am gonna take you to task. I think you're like, the fact that it wasn't an instant classic, I feel like you're holding it against it. It was a really extremely entertaining film, and I think especially if you look at context-wise, this is 2011, and I think there's a lot of interesting commentary going on here that, I mean, maybe today it feels different, that sort of thing maybe is a little more commonplace. I don't think we were getting this in your face about certain things in 2011. And also John Boyega, who, now we know him the world over, but I do remember back then hearing a lot about this guy's performance in this movie, and especially once it got announced that he was going to be in Star Wars, a lot of people were saying it's the guy from Attack the Block. You all got to check this out. I think maybe looking back in the context of when the film was released might help a little bit with that. But I think it's kind of easy when movies are hyped up to come to it and be like, you want it to be the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life, but
that's my own fault for setting my expectations too high. I can recognize that. Again, I did enjoy it. By the way, Geaullie, I did mute you. You should be able to unmute yourself, but we're getting a little feedback off of you, maybe. So just if you could mute when you're not talking at all. Thank you,
or if you have some headphones handy, Geaullie, that always helps. But yeah, it's okay if you don't. You can just do what Steven said. But I also think, Steven, I feel like you would have liked the movie just because where did they go to be safe? The weed room. Come on. Come on, Steven. This movie was meant for you.
Right, we'll talk about, you know what? I said my piece. It did not quite reach my level of expectation. Now I will just go on talking about all the stuff.
It definitely can't be The Expanse, not because it's the best
sci-fi ever. Not everything can
be
The Expanse or Return of the Jedi, or not Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back. I'm sorry.
No, you can't take it back.
No, it's done. Okay, we have it on record.
Both are great.
Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie.
I'm extracting that audio file.
That's fine.
You should just have that as your ringtone every time Steven calls.
I'm going to let you in on a secret. When I was watching this movie, I was in my weed room.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In your house, you mean?
Do what?
In your house, you mean?
Yep.
But I thought that alone was really clever because it also showed, Geaullie obviously mentioned the poverty of this neighborhood, but also, with that comes what is made illegal, these illicit drugs, illegal activity comes with that. And, I would be remiss to not say, I'm in Chicago, but I'm currently staying in a very rich part of Chicago. And there are, South Side and certain parts in the West Side are kind of demonized. And I think that this part of England is similarly demonized to how Chicago is. And it's seen as kind of an undesirable place to live. And it's a diverse place, right? We see a lot of people of color there. So there's also very much a racial aspect to that, that assumption that it's not safe, like there is when certain people talk about Chicago.
Right. Okay.
So I really like that aspect to it, is that with the drug dealers and these kids as well, who kind of get themselves in trouble constantly, it really does also kind of humanize these figures that are demonized in the media.
I get that. I do. And I'm never going to relate to John Boyega's character in this film directly. It's just, he and I come from two different worlds for me to understand him. But I can understand extreme frustration. I can understand the feeling of disenfranchisement. I do get it. It's just, but you're right, Amy. It does cast them in a more, we see them as human, even though the first thing they show us is them mugging some woman, on this. And I'm I was determined not to like them from then on. And by the end of the movie, I'm like, no, don't go back. Stay with your friends. the kid with the glasses. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't go wandering off.
Yeah, I felt like the beginning of the movie almost leans into sort of stereotypes of, especially if you're, I'll just say if you're a white person watching this, leaning into those assumptions that you might have about, about the people from, that, sort of section of society and culture, and then the movie just turns all that on its head, so that you start, if you can't completely understand, at least you sympathize with these people and where they're coming from. So I actually thought that was a very interesting creative choice to go about it that way. But on the other side, part of me was, like seeing the movie start off that way. I'm like, oh, that's not kind of a good image. But I see where they were going with it.
And
also, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Is this sound better?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm not hearing anything. It was hearing it when John or Amy were talking, is when I was hearing it.
Oh,
but when I muted you, it stopped happening. So,
okay.
But maybe now it's good.
Okay, so I just wanted to say the main character in this movie, like John Boyega's character, he is a 15-year-old boy who has been abandoned, basically.
Yeah.
He has like no parents. He has an uncle that is mostly gone, and he has like, where does he get his money to eat? What does his uncle do for him? It looks like he does nothing, because you see his house eventually. You see that the place is basically filthy and bare. So yeah, it's I like that it's like, because there's a lot of studies also that say that black kids basically usually get perceived as being older and therefore more dangerous and all that stuff. And you see that it's just a young kid that is trying to get by in the world, that like adults abandoned him. He only has his friends, and like he sells a bit of weed to get some money. He robs people to get money, or murks people. So it's I really like that in this movie, that they show that side of them, because a lot of those children just don't know any better. And you also see with the little kids, Props and Mayhem, that they are imitating the bigger kids. So
that's their aspiration.
That yeah, because they live in a neighborhood where almost no one really gets out of. Like,
yeah, and you see them having the gun that we find out is a toy gun, right? They're kind of imitating what they see and also what they hear, right? Like the rap song that keeps coming back has this bop bop bop, right? The sound of gunshots and police are, all these are very common urban sounds kind of in hip hop. So these kids are kind of mimicking that. And also, Stephen, there's a really good comment up a little bit from the one that you took from Leaf from Peadar. Surprisingly not a troll comment, about how there was a police shooting around this time. And unfortunately, we here in America, currently with especially since the killing of George Floyd, we have a very bad history of that. And going way, way back, a very famous one was in the 50s with Emmett Till. So you have that line from, and Geaullie can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's Moses who says, it's the police that are sending these monsters after us. Like, they can't kill us quick enough on their own, so they're sending monsters after us. And that to me it's very in your face, but I appreciate that, because so many movies try to like kind of sneak in the message, and I'm a little bit sick of that. I kind of want something that's a little bit more out there, and I really like that Attack the Block was showing you, hey, your assumptions are a little bit, it's more nuanced than what you think. And I really like that one of the kids said that was like, hey, maybe this is done by the cops coming after us. And I really like that also because it also made them look crazy, right? When they were saying, no, man, it's aliens. They're coming after us. Like, no one's going to believe them. So they also felt alone, even more so than normal. They can't normally go to the police, but now they definitely can't go to the police.
And I don't think that, if anybody's looking for something more quote unquote subtle, police treatment of black citizens is not subtle.
Yeah.
That's a good point too.
Exactly, right? The violence itself is in your face, so I think that the fight against it should also be in your face.
Yeah, I like that. That is one of the aspects that I like in movies. Also, just social commentary. I like that it's been other people get confronted with it. People who don't live in South London, or name any big American city, I think, and look at like the poorer neighborhoods.
Why is it always the South Side too? Like it's South Chicago, South Dallas. It really, it's okay.
It tends to be more on the outskirts of downtown, and downtown is always the most prosperous. As someone who's currently sitting in downtown Chicago, it's usually the more prosperous, has all the designer stores and everything. And so people of color, and especially poor people of color, are pushed out further and further away from the city. It's the center of the city, so much so that then it becomes the South Side. At least that's how I kind of read it.
Yeah, and it's not only in South London, because you have poorer neighborhoods throughout the outer skirts of London, in North London as well. If you look at the riots in 2011, they started in Brixton, I think. I can't really remember, but this is supposed to be Brixton as well, and then it spread throughout the poorer neighborhoods, like around London, and then more to the inner city as well. So yeah, I think it's in a lot of cities, a lot of bigger cities you have, and also in the city that I live in a poorer neighborhood in my city, and it's not that bad here. It's like not at all that bad here, but you see a lot of poverty, and you see a lot of people of color who are disproportionately poor in both Europe and in America. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's also, I know, at least in large Chinese cities, the outskirts of town is where the migrant workers stay, in kind of shanty towns, where they kind of have to build these makeshift, places to live, and then they go into the city to work, and then return home to these really, and these places are also generally over policed, and then when it's actually you needing help, you don't want to call the police because they will overreact, like what happened in March, I believe, I want to say it's Buffalo, New York, where a man was having he was having a mental crisis and was killed for that, because they did call the police at wanting help, and instead they brought only violence. So there's also this idea of the police constantly watching you but never there to help you going on in a lot of these in these neighborhoods.
Yeah, the police are the enemies of those children, because those children only see like adults harassing them in that neighborhood. And okay, this group of youths have robbed people,
and it's Rochester, New York. I'm so sorry, not Buffalo. Thank you, Santavia. Sorry, Geaullie, go ahead.
So Peadar that also in Tottenham, were the riots, a lot of the riots. But I know there were also riots in Brixton. But yeah, so I don't know what I was saying. Shit.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just didn't want to forget that I really appreciate always corrections like that from the chat. So I didn't want to forget to mention it.
Right on.
Totally fine. I just forgot my train of thought. It happens.
Okay, so I'm going to derail the conversation ever so slightly to bring up another point. I did not find this to be a comedy. I found this to be a sci-fi horror. And I thought it was good at what it was doing, but I did not find it to be particularly funny. Now, maybe that's just my different sensibility, sense of humor. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I laughed out loud, especially like the stoners, you know, they cracked me up, but like, and horror, you know, those two genres are actually really good at doing political and social commentary. Like, they're probably the two best for it. So I think it was effective in that way, at least. But no, I mean, it just did not strike me as like super funny. I took it more seriously, you know.
I thought that there were funny parts, but were you expecting a comedy, Stephen? Like,
kind of, yeah, because I heard it described as a comedy.
I hadn't, so it seemed to be sci-fi horror with comedic elements. So,
in the most good sci-fi horror movies, there are comedic elements to break up the
tension,
nastiness, and the tension and stuff. But yeah, I maybe because I requested it so much, it just
your fault. Your fault, Geaullie.
It's my own fault.
I think the humor was tame, but I didn't think that. I liked more subtle humor like that, like when they realize that it's a fake gun, and like you were saying, Stephen, pretty much every time with the stoners, and I also kind of like when the kid, and this movie did the one thing that I can't stand in movies: you can kill as many people as you want, but don't kill a dog. And they killed the dog, Pogo. I was like, not okay. But when he went to go and he's like, I'm leaving now, and they're like, take the dog, and he's like, I'll do it later. He's like, I'm not requesting, I'm telling you to take the dog. So there was some kind of times where I thought it was funny. And especially when they're like, say that word again, alien, right? And he was holding a gun to them, so of course that's serious. But then they're like, those dog demon things. So I thought that part was funny too.
Yeah.
So I found it kind of funny.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, I thought it pretty funny, and especially whenever the kids had taken the police van and they run into the two main drug dealer guys, and at first like, oh crap, it's the cops, and they see it's the kids. So I thought that was also very funny, that whole scene.
Which is why I always tend to think that film genres in general kind of exist more on a spectrum, where I think there's a lot of movies that I find hysterical that are not necessarily comedies. Case in point, like a week ago, we were watching Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which I was laughing my butt off the entire time. And I don't know if you would classify that as a comedy.
I would not.
And I'm thinking to years back when I went to watch There Will Be Blood in theaters, which is a moody, drama, sort of historical, epic almost. And yet there are absurdly hilarious things in that movie, particularly towards the end, that cross the line between, horror and comedy. So I think that oftentimes there can be the things that people will say that they found really funny, and it's not necessary. You wouldn't label it as a comedy. I tend to agree with Amy on this, that speaking of subtlety, probably some of the humor was more subtle, and if it, is if it's the type of thing that you find funny. Amy, you mentioned that moment of trying to describe the aliens without saying the word alien. Yeah, I find that funny.
Okay. Oh, so what you're saying is I'm just not smart enough to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or someone has used the hideous laughter spell on us, and we can't stop laughing at anything.
I mean, but Stephen, I just tend to say you're not smart enough in general. So, you know.
No,
I mean,
daddies are fighting again.
I am kidding.
Don't fight. Remember, you love each other. Oh, now I'm in the top row.
He's gonna kick me out.
Oh, now I'm down.
It's only a minute.
He said it. I did it.
Oh my God, it's making me dizzy.
All right, now we're back. Had a little. Okay.
Had a little marital spat there going on.
We'll kiss and make up later.
I love you, Stephen.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now you
share a
have
room.
And now you have that on tape as well.
Okay, this has gone a little off the rails. Okay, so like Geaullie, I'm going to lean on you a lot for this one. This is your movie. Like, let's talk about some of the more nuanced things then that maybe I did miss, because as a white American, like I try very hard to be empathetic to other people, but like sometimes it just goes over my head. I don't understand because I lack the context. Like I'm white, I'm an American. This is a movie about mostly Londoners of color. Like there was a fundamental disconnect there that I will never be able to fully bridge. And so maybe that's some of why I didn't find it to be as funny as maybe someone like you did, Geaullie. Because first of all, you're maybe a little more in on the joke, being culturally closer. And yeah, it's just like my sense of humor is very peculiar in its way. And comedy is subjective like any art form. So I don't know.
Well, it is definitely British humor. It is a bit subtle and dry and a lot of self-deprecating and it is. I love the movie not only for the comedy, what I said about the social economic aspects of the movie, that they make them more human to people who don't live in South London. Right. And I also, what I really like is, and my sister and I talked about this, was the fact that John Boyega is a pretty dark-skinned person. Mm-hmm. Within the Black community, he is more on the darker side, and the same with his girlfriend Tia, who is a very responsible young woman. She is also more on the darker side. And usually, when you have movies and they pick a main character, it can be Black character, but there's a lot of Black characters that are like more light-skinned Black characters. And also with the love interests, usually it's more of a mixed or a light-skinned girl that plays the love interest. And in this story, they didn't do that. She is a dark-skinned black woman, and he is dark-skinned and black. And I like that they broke that mold a bit. And what I also really liked is that the person who directed the movie, he lived in South London. He grew up close to it, and he lives in South London. And he is did very extensive research into the slang that is used in South London. He particularly noted all the slight nuances between slang in like North London as opposed to South London, that in South London they pronounce their vowels a bit more. And I saw the making of as well. I saw it because of this stream, because I was never really, I was like, okay, I like the movie, but now I watch that, and you see how the kids react to the director, how they and they especially chose kids that were not really professional actors, not really known actors. Like some was one of them was not cast but asked to come audition because of like a school play where someone was at, because so I like that, and I like that they were really good actors and they were really well trained. Um, and I love just a movie that is like 1.5 hours, like a nice length for a movie. Um, it's you never have like a feeling, oh I have to go to the bathroom, but it's like it's not finished yet. It's like you can watch that movie in one sit and don't have to go to the bathroom halfway or towards the end, so you don't enjoy the end. And also, yeah, in a lot of movies that I watched, a lot of more modern movies, you have pieces in the middle that is just like, does that really need to be in a movie? And I think with Attack the Block, almost every part fits really well in the movie. You don't have like the feeling of, oh, it's still not done.
I believe I believe it was Alfred Hitchcock who said the length of a movie should be directly proportional to the endurance of the human bladder.
A movie should be as long as that particular film needs to be.
No, Hitchcock said it. It must be right.
No, disagree.
I mean, we rewatched 5 Tarantino films last week, so I kind of got to agree with Geaullie on this one. It was nice to have a shorter movie. And also, I think someone in the chat earlier, I believe it was Potter, mentioned this kind of camaraderie that people on the block have, and I really like that. Whereas it's kind of like they have to work together and protect themselves, right? No one's going to come and save them. And so I really like that, is the whole time you're watching, you're not expecting some, the army or a police force to come in and save them. You know that it's just them against literally alien invaders. And I also think what I like about it is the initial, the first fight that they have with the aliens is that you have, I think it was Moses. I can't remember. I keep getting the kids mixed up. I feel bad about that. I'm sorry. But you have them be like, I'm a F it up. I'm a F it up. Right. So you have also this kind of like mob mentality of them kind of like getting each other, pumped up to fight these aliens. And then at one point in the movie, they're like, oh, we're very outnumbered. This was a bad idea. And also speaking of the funny parts, my favorite part was when one of the crew got captured by the police and they're like hiding on this bridge over here. And the girl who got mugged was like, and then they're also hiding up there. You see that, right? like the cops are so dumb.
I did laugh at that part. You guys, just for the record, I am experiencing some lag on my end sometimes, like you're just dropping out completely.
Yeah, you're freezing up occasionally, Stephen.
Yeah, so that is what it is. I don't know what I can do about it. I'm going to jump out and jump back in. Y'all just keep the conversation going. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I do have to get in one final point about the editing or editing in general. Like, I'm not saying that I dislike the fact that this movie was, under an hour and a half. I think it was the perfect length for what this film needed to be. I'm just saying that it varies for each film. And if a film needs to be 3 hours, it should be 3 hours. This film worked perfectly at, what was a 1 hour, 20 something minutes. And that was the right length for it to be. There's not a one rule fits all for film editing.
But they did it right instead of like The Hobbit. That is way longer than it's supposed to be.
Well, the Hobbit's length problems are more related to its writing than its editing, I will say.
Yeah, like I don't want you to cut anything out of Lord of the Rings. I'm being honest. I really don't. And with that one
try to cut something out of the theatrical versions of Lord of the Rings. There's no fat on those films at all.
But with that one statement, I got John completely back on my side too.
And manipulative.
But I didn't talk about Lord of the Rings. I specifically talked about The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Because Lord of the Rings is I
No,
love those movies.
Patter, you know what? Now
Oh,
you're just back to trolling me. Leave.
He's just wanting
Go.
to. He's just needling you. Come on, John. He only does it because it works.
Yeah.
I know.
He doesn't take a rise out of you. Works every time. At this point, it's like an intricate dance between the two of you.
I know. These two are just going to be going at it until the end of time.
I hope so. It's
It's like the end of The Dark Knight. I think you and I are destined to do this forever. That's me and Patter.
At least you share Highlander.
Yes. Okay, so shall we get back on topic?
Sure.
Okay.
So
of lost.
where the heck did these things come from? Is it just like is our explanation supposed to be what this stoner guy just guessed? They're like spores floating through space on solar winds, and that must be the female, and these must be the males. I mean, because like everything else said was right. So are we just to assume that like this random stoner just dreamed up what they were? And that's
I think he's in the ballpark, but I don't know that he's completely right. I actually, my theory was that the smaller alien was actually like an offspring rather than the female of the species. But I mean, I don't know.
I think he studied zoology, like and then he also watched a documentary in the background. You see the documentary about moths and female and the mating of moths and pheromone for pheromone. So I think he's just, he's a stoner. He just saw that on television and he was like, oh, it was, the giant coincidence that is film and Hollywood and stuff. There's a lot of coincidences in movies, and this, I think, was one of them.
You see, but
I don't think you need. There is not really an answer because the beast didn't talk in a language we could understand. So I don't think it's necessary to get more explanation about where they came from and all that stuff, because that is not what the movie was about. It was.
Right.
But it is interesting that the first one that came looked different from the ones that were black, right? It was tan, and which makes you think that, like John said, it's an offspring, or if it is the female, it kind of reminds me of the peacock and the peafowl, right? Like the peacock, the male is very bright and colorful, right? Like they have these really, they're black, but they have these bright teeth that kind of catch your eye. Whereas then if it's the female, it's like this tan color. It's not quite good looking because it's not meant to be attracting a mate. So I could see that as working. But yeah, they literally fall from the sky. They don't come on a ship or anything. So it's like, what's happening? They're in like kind of like some kind of like an encased in some kind of like egg thing, right? Basically, they're just like, it's like, are they being shot down by a mothership, or have they been shot away from another planet and they were just hurtling through space? We don't know.
I guess
No
you're
one
right.
knows.
I guess you're right, Geaullie, though. It's like, that's not the important part. The important part is what the heck happened after the credits rolled.
That is one thing my sister and I were talking about.
Okay.
Because on the one hand, you have like a black person gets arrested. That's very common. Usually they get convicted as well. But I think that there should be a mass of dead alien bodies. So the story should check out. So I hope he doesn't go to jail, but I think he went to jail.
But I think it's the fact that the film doesn't answer that question, which is key, because we're left with the very real possibility that that they're on their way to prison, and regardless of what Jodie Whittaker's character might say to the cops, it might still end with the injustice of them going to prison, which is awful, but would not be surprising in the least. So the fact that it leaves that open as a possibility pushes the film into the realm of the real for me.
Yeah, and the fact that the police always come in after the fact, right? And they don't know what happened, whereas the people there that witnessed it knew what was going on, and they're not believed. So it's, yeah, and I think it also is the film in many ways comes full circle, and this is where it's coming full circle from the initial run-in with the police, where the police get attacked and killed by these alien things, right? So we know that's probably going to get pinned on Moses, right? Because they have 2 dead cops, and whenever there's dead cops, someone's going to jail, whether they did it or not.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Black people experiencing that specifically. Just,
Fair.
And they shouldn't need someone like the girl who got mugged to stick up for them. They should just be believed, but they aren't.
Which is actually why I'm glad the film doesn't definitively tell you that, oh, okay, they're off the hook now, because I
a
would
white
not.
person stuck up for them. Yeah,
I would
that's
not
not
like
what the film that's definitely not what the film was going for. So I really appreciated that.
So, Attack the Block 2?
Electric Boogaloo?
No.
No. Some movies don't need a second one, and I think this
A
is
lot
one
of
of
movies
those.
don't need a second one.
Yeah, this is a standalone movie, and I love it for what it is. And I don't think you should make a second one, because what is next? Is there like Godzilla coming out of the sea?
No.
Is there like ghosts
it's a
or something?
No, Steven.
No. I'm sure I froze just now.
Let it go.
You did. Yeah,
But
the internet doesn't want to hear your
God,
opinions about this.
Well, what was I seeing? And here I go diverting again, turning this into a larger conversation. But I was online earlier, and I saw an article about how, a headline that was like trying to say, so Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is just outside of the DCEU, and the film The Batman can't do anything about that, but this other film might be able to. It's like these bloggers trying to twist in knots all these ways that they can pull in a standalone film into an expanded universe and make more and more of that. It's like, just if you liked a movie, be happy with that movie. Stop trying to turn it into something that's going to keep going and going and going. Sometimes a great movie should just be allowed to be a great movie and be cherished for that, instead of trying to turn it into, a bunch of sequels or a franchise.
Yeah, and Potter has a good point about when he's hanging out the window, he's hanging on to the Union Jack, right? The flag. So it's also very symbolic of, the one time that he's being helped by his country, right?
Yeah, because that's going to be
Oh my God, yes.
yeah, it's a symbol of his oppressor in some ways.
Yeah.
John Boyega called. Oh, sorry. John Boyega said that was his Die Hard moment.
Right.
When he was filming that, it was like, this is my Die Hard moment. So hanging off the building on a flag.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I thought that was a good kind of the commentary can actually kind of be a little bit subtle, right? If you weren't really paying attention to what that flag was, then you may not have seen it. But I really noticed that during the movie, because that was the only time that I saw the UK flag, and he was literally dangling from it.
Yeah, in Europe, we don't have a lot of flags just hanging out everywhere. It's mostly on special days, or if you have like something to celebrate.
Don't put them on the back of your pickup trucks and drive down the street. That's very straightforward to me, Geaulllie.
No. Really, it's just it's for special occasions.
And I see where you're coming from. I take exception to that, though. The studios have brainwashed audiences into wanting sequels and franchises. If you put the effort into making original films like this, you will get audiences to crave those films. I'm sorry, Stephen, we're going to disagree on this.
You froze again, Stephen. We know that you disagree, but
they really are.
I'm agreeing with John.
I actually even tried changing my connection up, and
your internet is just not having it today, Stephen.
It's really just not, and I don't know why. So please continue the conversation. I'm going to try to get my network to behave itself.
So I'm actually a little bit confused on these two opinions about a remake. John, what is it that you're saying? I'm not quite grasping it.
I'm just because Anna was saying that by opting to not make sequels to films that work well as standalone films, that the studios can't make money off of that, and they make their money off of brand recognition. And I think that's an easy cop out for the studios, and I think they actually could make money off of original ideas if they actually pushed them. As opposed to going the easy route, and the audiences have been conditioned to want more of the same, and the studios just don't put in the effort, really. Which is why, you have this film, which is a great original film, but it's a small film with a very small budget, which is the only way almost the only way that quality original films can get made nowadays, because they don't have the studios behind them.
Yeah, and I think case in point is Disney with doing all of the remakes of The Lion King, the live action Mulan, all of these. It's just recycling old ideas. And that's one of the things I liked about this movie is it wasn't like a remake of Alien or, a remake of some sci-fi story that we already have. Obviously, it's a British film and not an American franchise. I recognize that. But I did like that it was very new in that way. And I also like that it was from the perspective of kids. We get that with Stranger Things, right? But this was before that. I think it kind of shows what we learned for Stranger Things, which is following kids as kind of bumping up against the supernatural is very, very fun and fascinating.
I agree completely. And I would love to continue this conversation after the mid-roll.
Let's do it.
Cool. So yeah, we're about an hour in, so we will stop here, and I will thank not only John and Amy and Geaullie for coming to talk, but all of you who are here live with us right now. I think we got 18 people watching us live. Thank you for being here live. If you're watching this after the fact, also thank you. Maybe a little bit less, but also thank you. We do appreciate you. Should try being here live next time. It's way more fun. Maybe put your comment up on the screen. I will also ask you to subscribe if you have not, and also go ahead and drop a like. It's YouTube and the algorithm and blah, blah, blah. So thanks for that. Also, many thanks to our patrons. Our top level patrons, the High Council, consists of Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sir Maura Lee of Starfall, and Sixto Sounds, a.k.a. JP the Axe Grinder, as well as shout-outs for our lords and ladies of the realm, Lady Leaf Underhill in the chat right now, and Ridiculous Ed Tollett, the Alpha Patron. I know you're listening, buddy. I know you said you weren't going to be chatting much, but I saw you in the chat earlier saying hi. So many thanks to our patrons. And to our fine guests. Their links are down in the description, but Geaullie, do you have anything coming up on your channel or any other sort of media you're working on? Something, collab, essay, anything?
No.
Good.
At the moment, I'm not doing any of that.
But
I need to have an idea first and work it out a bit.
But I will say this. So you maybe got something you're working on. That's good. if you are in Europe and you have a dog, Geaulllie will take your dog if you don't want it anymore.
Preferably a small one.
Yes, this needs to be a small dog, but Geaulllie will gladly take your small dog off your hands.
Not the size of these aliens.
No, I can't do that on my little scooter because I have like a little scooter. So I want to be able to put a crate on the back and take my dog everywhere with me because I am that type of person. I just show up with a dog.
You would be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Amy, what about you? What you got coming up? Save John Webster film stuff for John, but like anything on Amy Blackfire coming up?
Gotcha. Yes. Definitely check out that video I just did with Dan, Voice of Geekdom, that just dropped today, where we're talking about his Dark Materials. I have my essay about Orientalism and his Dark Materials coming up, and I'm going to have Lo the Links on my channel. They have a WordPress, and they write amazing essays about his Dark Materials, A Song of Ice and Fire, and more, and they're going to talk about colonialism.
Okay.
As well in his material.
Let me interrupt you for just a second to say, Dan, I just gave you a wrench. If you want to drop a link to that video in the chat, I just
yeah, so we get you hyped about season 2 and what's going to be going on there. So yeah, that was a really fun discussion, and thanks again, Dan, for having me on. And so what I have coming up, is that one about Orientalism and colonialism with Lo. And then I'm going to have a discussion about Dark Star with Geaullie, who I wrote a collab essay with that's already out. So if you check out my channel, you can listen to the essay and then hear us talk about it. We're going to record this week. And so she has a theory about Dark Star working with Duran Martel. So that's kind of interesting. And I also have a forthcoming essay about Cersei and her parallels with the last Empress of China. And I'm going to talk to Rohan, aka @CyrilWoodcocks, on Twitter, the biggest Cersei stan in the world I've ever met, and I love her so much, and we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to have Lo back on because they and I are writing a collab essay on Lyson Omar, and that is going to end me for 2020. That's all I can do in a month and a half. But if you want to know what I'm doing for 2021, check out my Twitter. I have my upcoming schedule. And if you follow me, I do polls. I'm Amy Poehler, Poller, and I ask you your opinions about A Song of Ice and Fire, his Dark Materials, and more. All the things, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, and I see that Dan did just drop a link to that video in the chat. Thank you, sir. John, what's coming up for you, my man?
Okay, so last night, Amy and I did a stream on the films of Quentin Tarantino. So if you want to go check that out, we had a great time. We ended up doing it a little early because there was something else going on last night that maybe some of you saw on primetime television. So yeah, go watch that. And if you like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And because we have more stuff coming up next week, we're doing The Nightmare Before Christmas with this fellow here, Stephen Stark, and also Lady Triple will be joining us.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one next week. Prepare for me to sing a lot.
Oh, I'm ready.
That is what I do when I watch that movie. I sing along.
I can't help it.
It's such a it's meant to be sung along with, for sure.
You kind of have to, yeah.
And after that, you have a big interview coming up, right, John?
I do. I'm going to be doing an interview with an author named Doug Adams, who wrote the book The Music of the Lord of the Rings films. That'll be coming up on November 21st. So come on by for that. And speaking of Lord of the Rings, come December, we're going to be doing 3 weeks in a row of all Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
So tune in for that. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah. That's you got.
And now for 2021, I'm just kidding. John, I've already made the schedule 5 months in advance. Don't worry about it.
You need to leave room for wiggles. You never know what's going to come knocking on your door. What opportunities? Anyway, I digress. Next week, I don't know who's going to be a guest. We will have a guest next week. But we're getting back into some Expanse content. Finally, we're looking forward. Season 2 is about a month away, 5 weeks, I think. So won't be long, and we're going to have at least 2 more Expanse streams before season 2 or season 5 starts. And next week we will be discussing Naomi Nagata, doing a character focus on her, which, like, I can't. There's going to be a little bit of season 5 talk in there just because of the single trailer, and we kind of know. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to having Nessie back for that one, and then we'll probably have a returning guest who's done some Expanse content with us in the past. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
and this becomes the week in which John tries to figure out how to squeeze in a rewatch.
Right.
A lot of The Expanse.
Yeah, good luck, man. I'm gonna anyway. But the week after that, Amy's got that week off from John Webster Film because John is interviewing Doug Adams. Well, I'm just gonna snatch Amy up and make her come be my guest for I Know That Nerd. So we'll talk to Amy. We'll figure out why the heck she hates the patriarchy so much.
And it's an AMA chat, so get ready to ask me whatever you want to ask me. You can send Steven questions. You can send me questions and I'll forward them to him, or you can ask live, but whatever you want. Talking about myself for 2 hours. What more could a girl ask for?
Right, exactly. I mean, what more do you want?
Nothing. I only want this.
And then Anna
my life will be complete after that.
And then Anna says Mandalorian 2 stream. The short answer is yes, the week after Amy is Mandalorian. So we'll, Expanse, Naomi Nagata character study next week. Amy the week after that. However much of Mandalorian season 2 we've watched up to that point after that. Oh, one last thing. Next week, we will start the giveaway for our international viewers. It is only going to be open to our international viewers because we give away so much stuff here in the United States, but we love you guys overseas and in Canada, which is not technically over an ocean. And heck, maybe you're in Mexico or, you can get to South America by land, I guess, technically. Got to cross over the... Anyway, shut up, Stephen, and show the stuff. So we're going to be giving away 3 books at once. One by Kim Renfro, The Unofficial Guide to Game of Thrones. One by several YouTubers and stuff called The Thrones Effect, including several friends of the channel, particularly Val and Aziz and Ashea from History of Westeros. They helped co-author that book. And then by Joe Buckley, who does sort of a companion podcast to the Valerie Rita streams over there on History of Westeros. He wrote a book called The Great Castles of Westeros. And wherever you are in the world, if I can mail it there somehow, I'm going to mail it to you. We will come back next week with an official, this is how you enter. All right?
And can I do just a quick plug? One more thing.
Of course.
I won the American one, which was some wonderful wine made by Nessie and her husband. And I will be doing an unboxing video on my channel probably sometime this week. Those in the Slack, you'll be the first to find out. And I'll probably announce it on Twitter. So you're going to see me live. I'm going to live stream from my channel for the first time. I'm going to open it. I'm going to sample it myself and do my fancy stuff and be like, I taste notes of blueberry and such. So definitely check that out. I'm going to have, trying a Nessie's wine, which I'm sure is going to be delicious.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. Sounds like fun to watch too.
Yeah, she said it's up a little over 20% ABV. So I'm going to get a little drunk. It'll be fun.
I mean, from a sip, not so much, but
I'm going to chug it.
Chug it, man. You chug the whole bottle, unbox and...
Oh, no, I'm going to savor that.
And you know what? With Al, I'm going to do a giveaway right now.
Okay.
Actually, because I didn't have any bites yet in the Slack, and there's a bigger audience here. So if you're interested in this, just send me a message on Twitter or or however you can contact me. I have a digital copy for the film V for Vendetta. If any of you are interested in having that movie, it's a 4K digital copy. So yeah, if you want the movie, just go ahead and contact me.
There you go. And I guess it's first come, first serve, first person.
Yep.
And how do they reach you? DM you on Twitter?
Yep.
All right.
Find my link in the description.
Link to John's Twitter is down below in the description. Send him a Twitter DM, and you can have a free copy of V for Vendetta, which you guys recently did a watch party of, which I
on
really
the 5th of November.
On the 5th of November. I really wish I could make it to those watch parties. They're just so late in the evening for me.
Fun fact, this movie plays out on the 5th of November as well. It is Guy Fawkes Day.
Halloween was last week. Man, I didn't even think of that. Like, I should have, obviously, but that's just me being Amerocentric,
And of course, at the time, we thought that the election news would be coming in like right as we were getting ready to watch the film, so that was going to have an extra element to it. Little did we know we'd still be waiting for days, but it was a fun watch nonetheless.
Yeah, I remember the 7th of November this year.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
which were yesterday.
Peadar just mentioned obviously this would be for if you're just in the U.S. because the digital copy won't work overseas. So I do apologize.
Right. Sorry.
Nothing I can do.
Yeah, nothing you can do about that. But international viewers, yes, we will ship you a collection of 3 books anywhere in the world. And then John will give you a free movie if you're in the United States and you're first.
Yeah.
Well, looks like Beth's already making her play to room.
Hurry up, Beth.
All right, so Attack the Block. Let's turn back to the topic at hand, so to speak. I really liked pretty much everybody's acting in this film, which is a credit not just to the actors but to the director as well, being able to pull what he wanted out of each of these kids. I shouldn't say kids. Some of them are probably actually young men. Like John Boyega's probably 18 or so when he made this film. But I think they really
most of them were 16.
Okay, fair enough. I just checked his I just checked Wikipedia to figure out how old he is, and I always assume films are shot the year before they come out, which would have made him about 18. So maybe it was a little bit more before that. But the rest.
Youths.
What?
Youths.
No, he was a bit older. Yeah, youths.
No, they're youth.
Youths.
I do just want to cut in real quick for a second, just so everybody can, if anybody else was interested. Sorry, Beth has in fact already claimed the copy of V for Vendetta. So congratulations, Beth.
Quickest giveaway ever.
Yay,
Yeah, we already have a winner. Like 3 minutes later. Congratulations, Beth.
Awesome, Beth.
I'm very happy for it. See, Santivia gets it.
Youths.
I'm referencing My Cousin Vinny for those of you that are not aware, which is a classic. You need to talk about that film on John Webster Film. Add it to the list.
Yeah, we'll see when we get to it, Steve.
Right. All right. So, yeah, Attack the Block. I thought the young actors were great. Even the 2 little kids. What are they? Props and Mayhem?
Props and Mayhem, yeah.
Yeah, like I only know John Boyega's character is Moses because they actually were chanting it at the end. And then the 2 little kids made such a big deal out of, these are our names. I don't remember anybody else's name. I just don't.
Yeah.
But I
Not
thought
Pest. I love the name Pest. The little white guy with the hat with the tassels.
yeah, the first kid to die.
No, he survived.
Oh no, the one that made it all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's he called?
Pest.
Pest.
Pest. I love
Yeah, it
that.
was a fun name.
That's a great name.
Yeah. It is a great name.
Like, I
But
mean, I
sorry.
I'll be honest, I can't remember barely anybody's name. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, there
I've
was
seen the movie multiple times, so
yeah, I forget the name of the kid who did end up getting killed. Was he the one with the glasses, or is that a different one?
No, there's like
The one
three
with
of
the
the kids
glasses?
died.
Yeah, a
no,
lot of the
killed.
kids.
Two of them died.
Yeah.
The one with
Yeah.
the dog,
Yeah, the one with the dog.
and then the kid with the glasses.
Okay.
Yeah. Those were called Dennis and Jerome.
Dennis, yeah.
But speaking of the cast, I actually do want to point out, and I don't remember his name either, but the white guy who wasn't like part of the group, who was there for
Stoner?
Yeah. That I just looked him up. That actor's name is Luke Treadaway. But it's interesting because I thought that this was the same guy who played the Vulcan in season 1 of Picard. But it's actually his twin brother.
Oh my gosh, really?
His name is Harry Treadaway. He's the one who was in Picard. But the whole time I'm like, oh, it's that guy. And then I looked it up and it's like, nope, wasn't him.
But it's his twin brother. Okay.
Yeah.
So technically you recognized the look. You're really good at that, John. I can't recognize people from where I've seen them before.
Well,
I might go, I think I've seen that person from somewhere before, but I can never remember the exact movie or show.
Well, it was actually bothering me for like the first 30 minutes. I'm like, I know that guy from somewhere. I just can't place it. Damn it. But it turns out I actually didn't.
Right. You only kind of recognized him.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, Nick Frost.
Yes.
Like, he's awesome in everything.
Like, I love that he was essentially just there to have Nick Frost in the movie.
Yeah, kind of. Like, yeah, kind of. Just to be there and be funny and.
Well, the director worked with Nick Frost on a couple of projects, and they are friends, I think. So Nick Frost was there. I loved his character, Ron. It's like, he was like, he described himself as a slightly creepier child catcher of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Okay.
So he was, I love that character. It was fun, and he had some fun lines, and he was Nick Frost basically.
Yeah, he was kind of just.
So there was a party at the zoo, and a monkey fucked a fish.
Yeah,
so that was amazing.
That was a good line. Like he again, all the weed stuff was so great. Even when they were referencing it, we need to go hide out in Ron's weed room. It's the safest place. What is Ron's weed room? It's a room full of weed.
Yeah,
and it's Ron.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of, thank you, Wheezy.
Best time ever. I love it. Yeah, and I really liked that too, because whenever they initially went to the weed room and everything, I was kind of wondering if that was gonna come around in any way, and then it did. It was the bunker that they hunkered down in, and it just, that was so great. And also talking about the comedic moments, whenever the white guy in the building who's just kind of there, whenever the door opens and there are all these dead bodies, and then one of the drug dealers is like, might want to catch the other one, fam. It's just like, yeah, probably. Dang. Yeah. That guy was literally just like such a bystander.
Yeah, he got caught up in it, and it's like his car that got like.
Yes, and it was his car that was smashed. Yeah, that poor guy.
His dad's car, technically.
Poor guy. Tough luck, real tough luck.
I love the character, the posh stoner. You always have like one of them somewhere, like a posh stoners. They are funny as fuck. Sorry.
But what was his?
Oh no, we're demonetized. Whatever the. Never mind.
What was his line about? Paying the rent. I'm speaking figuratively.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he has to sell more weed. Like, okay, yeah, you really do, because you live at home with your dad, and you have like a job, and you are at university, so you really have to sell more weed now. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It was a fun character, but also I love the stoner. Like, it was kind of a British stoner movie almost.
Yeah, which I guess is probably why, that's the parts that really did connect with me on a humor level. Yeah, I know. Big surprise, but like the stoner humor got me. Thank you, Dan. I'm glad we cleared this up.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of Cheech and Chong, or oh gosh, I'm totally blanking on the
Jay and Silent Bob.
That too, but also there's the Indian guy and the Asian guy. Oh, come on.
Harold and Kumar.
Especially the one where they go to Guantanamo Bay, where it's like really bad stuff is happening, and they're just like, man, I just want to hang out and smoke. And it's like they just roll with the punches and take it as it comes. And so it's really well done. And we also, as a watch party, recently watched Cabin in the Woods, which also has this kind of common trope and horror of the stoner character kind of playing on that. And so I also thought it was a nod to the genre as well, which I really appreciated.
I just find it absolutely hysterical that in both that movie, Cabin in the Woods, and this, it's like the weed is what's saving the day, because
right
in that movie it's the fact that he's high which is keeping him from suffering the effects of everything they're filtering through the air, and then in this, the safest place to be is the weed room.
Weed saves lives, John. That's what we really learn from these movies.
Yeah, and always bring a pack of like papers, skins.
Skins.
Because
skins. It's
like bare weed and no skins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that humor. Big, like you say, big surprise, but like it did work for me. Just Luke. His name is what? Luke Treadaway.
Yeah.
Brewis. I looked it up. His character.
Brewis.
He's like, they're trying to convince Jodie Whittaker's character to go out to the hallway, where he's like, I would do this if I wasn't so insanely stoned.
Yeah, because I think he knows what being stoned is, because he looked very, very stoned.
And that is the wrong time, when an alien invasion is happening. That's, you either want to be stoned out of your mind so you're not freaking out, or sober so you can deal with it. Yeah,
I'm like kind of as long as not monetized, fucked if there's an alien invasion, because being stoned it happens a lot. It happens a lot. So no, thank you. No alien invasion. No zombie apocalypse. I
don't know. Look, it's already November. It's pretty clear. If we were gonna have an alien invasion in November, we would probably see the first signs of it. We've got one more month in 2020, and I've been having alien invasion on my bingo card since the very beginning. So,
okay, I have a sadistic redneck torture undead family on there.
Okay. Who's got mermaids?
Oh my god! No, I love it. I'm gonna go for the release of multiple jinn that come and attack us.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with that as what's gonna end the world because those things are powerful.
Yeah, they're supernatural.
I mean, yeah, that's Geaulllie knows that I love that show. Something that we both get. Sammy, get the salt. Something that we both have together is our love of the show Supernatural. So
Yeah,
pretty much any monster, anything, and the world almost ends like 5 times in that show. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they beat Buffy in how many times the world almost ended?
I think so. Barely though, because I mean Buffy has a lot in it, but yeah.
Yeah, but she looked better doing it than they ever did. Sorry.
Can't argue with that.
Debatable. No, that's debatable. Because as a
But she wears that skin tight, you know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go off in my thirst if we keep talking about this.
Sarah Michelle
Oh yeah,
okay.
we could have some. Kelly's right. We could have some kaiju coming out of the
You never know.
out of the Pacific Rim, you know, stuff
I
going
gotta
on.
say, like, as alien invasions go, this wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad for the people who were at ground zero, but like it didn't even make it out of a neighborhood.
Didn't even make it off the block.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very small one. They
even
stopped it
somebody says
very soon.
somebody says something about that during the tourist movie. If there was an alien invasion, why would it be in this little, shit town or whatever? But it's like, and you can compare that to, like terrorist attacks. It's like, why would it happen here? Well, the answer is, why wouldn't it?
Yeah, why wouldn't it? And it's funny because the director and the writer of this movie came. This movie started when he was watching the movie Signs, and it's like aliens coming to like a very weird country farm or something.
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie. Don't like Mel Gibson that much, but he was thinking what would happen if they came to South London. Aliens. So that was where the movie really started. The idea of the movie when he was watching the movie Signs and wondering what would happen in South London.
Kind of also made me think of District 9, which is aliens landing in South Africa, right? It's kind of changing. It's always in all these movies, it's always New York, right? And so kind of taking it out of the usual spots. And it's not downtown London, right? We're not seeing them over, all of the tourist sites or anything like that. So I really appreciated that it was a very regional movie. And like Potter says in the chat, it was about protecting the block, saving the block, not really about protecting the world. So
the world is a
that was secondary.
Also, Signs is really good, Geaulllie. You should give it a shot.
Yes, it is.
That's where the whole idea of tinfoil comes from. Tinfoil hat is from that movie. It created a whole.
No, sorry.
That's not where it came from?
Tinfoil hat was around long before that movie.
Okay, it's an expression of that saying.
It is an expression of that, though. Yes, but no, Signs scared me so bad. I don't like. There are certain things with aliens that uncanny.
You were freezing up again, Stephen.
I lagged out for a second. Anyway, there's a point in that film where he goes out.
It's always right when he's gonna say the thing.
Oh my gosh!
That's so frustrating.
So I jumped so hard at that my skin hurt. Like, I'm not kidding. Like when the alien leg stepped out and I jumped with such force that I literally felt pain all over my skin.
I'm sorry, but it's
like
so funny hearing you say that, Stephen, because, and this is a total digression, but
what on Here Be Dragons?
Let's just go in for, because first of all, I do love that film and everything from, I love the whole War of the Worlds type atmosphere of, sort of, you're on the ground level with these people as an alien invasion is happening, and you're not getting a wider view, which is why this movie is so good too. I think it's really interesting when you look at an alien invasion from just the point of view of, ordinary people. But anyway, the point of what I was saying is you're talking about how scared you were. I went to go see this in the theater, not for my first viewing, probably on a second viewing with two of my work friends. And I've told you guys this before about one of my work friends. His name was Silas, who had this ridiculous cackle, and he laughed at the most inappropriate things. And like every time there was an emotional scene with like Mel Gibson and his children, he just started cracking up in the theater, and the whole theater erupted in laughter. It was like it was a comedy the whole time watching the movie, and I'm just sitting there so embarrassed. But that's why it's really funny hearing you talk about how it scared you, Stephen, because I just have memories of laughing. Yeah, people laughing all throughout the film.
I don't like aliens that look too much like people. But like, I don't know.
Hot take.
But sorry, to go back, I think alien invasions, if you do an alien invasion, it's like if you do it with few aliens like this one, you don't do it in the biggest major city in the world, like the biggest major cities. It's like do it somewhere where it's like not that many people, because you can establish, a beachhead. Like there you can make camp and go out and take over. It's stupid to attack like big cities. Unless you have overwhelming force. With overwhelming force, you can get it over with quickly with like one display of might and power. But okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. So, Attack the Block 2?
No, we already covered this.
Okay,
No.
but hear me out.
Okay.
We literally can't because of the lag, Stephen. It's not that we don't want to.
I don't know what the problem is. It's actually really bad on my end, Like, I keep missing stuff you guys are saying. So, I guess I'm being silenced. I'm being censored. You can help. They're
It's a
censoring me.
conspiracy, I think, is well, and also what I like is that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stephen, if you can.
He's frozen.
I don't want to interrupt you if it's going to actually work, but then it doesn't. So I don't know what to do.
I think I have a good idea for a sequel for this film, but I'm not even going to try to talk about it because I'll just get
I'm curious.
Down. Maybe I'll tell you on the Zoom. I'm afraid to even try. I keep getting shut up.
Okay.
I mean, that should tell you something.
Is the universe saying, no, don't make a sequel? But okay.
I think there actually is a good way to make a sequel that could still be social commentary. It could like, you could have Moses go to jail for 10 years and like have him have to come save everybody's ass when the second wave shows up because he's the only one that actually knows anything about them. I don't know. It could work.
What I found interesting is that they didn't give the aliens a weakness like they do, like Potter was joking about the water being their weakness, right? It was just, you just basically like kind of stab them, right? There wasn't any grand weakness that they had to find out, right? It was pretty straightforward. And I kind of liked that because I don't like this kind of what they did with the Night's King in Game of Thrones. You just kill one and then they all die, right? This kind of very simple solution. I won't start talking about the season that we don't talk about here. But I like that in Attack the Block, it was just about stabbing them, and then I love the way that there was with the samurai sword, right? So there's also kind of, I like that it's kind of a little bit of a callback to some martial arts films too. So I really enjoyed that.
I mean, I did kind of feel like when he used the sword to stab one of them, I was like, wait, that was it?
I mean, they're flesh and blood, or some sort of blood.
Yeah, turns out their weaknesses pretty much the same weaknesses we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that a lot because I don't like the idea of these completely invincible aliens where you have to, I mean, I guess like kind of like with the Death Star, right? It has this one weakness that you have to do. They did that in Independence Day where you have to go exactly into this part of the ship to blow it up and, this kind of stuff. So I kind of appreciate that. It was just, nope, you just stab it with a sword.
Well, that's, and this is a larger conversation, but that's sort of the problem with something that's so large and all powerful, whether it's something like the Death Star or an insurmountable force like the White Walkers, where it becomes the only way in sort of storytelling means that you can eliminate that force is by you have to narrow it down to an easy target. Which is why it's useful in a smaller film like this to have it so that there's, relatively speaking, there's not a large number of these things. There's enough that it's a problem, but not so many that it becomes impossible to actually defeat them.
Yeah, because they were there in time. Because if they started breeding, never know what would happen.
So don't have sex, kids.
But when you do, which you will, use protection.
Yeah. What she said.
No.
Yeah.
Abstinence only.
Yeah, that's I'm from the South, so Stephen and I both know how well that works.
Yeah. Anyway, we got about 20 minutes left on the stream. Does anybody else have anything they need to make sure we talk about before
the movie, or just randomly going off?
No, let's keep it to the movie for now. And anybody in the chat, anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure, because I feel like there is more going on in this movie than maybe I gave it credit for initially. Some of that is the cultural disconnect for me. And it is what it is, but that's why I really like, greater context can allow me to.
It's a bit fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a Mad Lib thing.
Okay, how much did I lose?
Literally all of it.
Oh my
all your
God.
points.
The setup is there, the payoff is not, basically.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I'm out. John, you're in the driver's seat, buddy.
What? Oh, great.
You've been training all of your year for this, John.
What? I've never run a stream before. Yeah, so I don't know. It's like we've talked about the cast members. We've talked about the commentary. I don't know. I'll send it out to the chat. What were some of your observations about this film?
I did find something interesting where
Hi, Stephen.
one of the things I found interesting that was really small was where when the first run-in with the police, where they put one of the kids in the cage and shut it, that's in the van, and then whenever the aliens attack the van, the white girl gets in the cage. She puts herself in the cage. So it's kind of, at first you just took it as, oh, that's funny, but it's also kind of symbolic of this young kid of color put in there by the white authorities, but then a white woman herself chooses to go and be in there, and then she can't get out and she needs them to get her out. So I also found that it was obviously ironic, but I think it was also definitely doing something deeper there that I haven't quite gotten to dissecting myself.
I thought one thing that was, especially at the point where we're not overly fond of these characters yet, when he's like, how about thanking us for saving your life? And would she say like, my heroes or like that?
My fucking hero.
Yeah, and it also playing a little bit on the helpless girl in the horror movies and alien invasion movies kind of trope as well. She, what I like is also the, I think it was Moses's girlfriend who ends up also helping them kind of fight the aliens. The women in this movie don't just kind of sit on the sidelines and scream and let the boys and men, save them.
No,
I also appreciate that.
They killed that alien. They attacked it. They beat it with ice skates and like lamps and everything, and they killed it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love especially this using the blade of the ice skates. That was really great.
Yeah, when Dimples was like, yeah.
And especially because ice skating is kind of, elegant and usually very feminine, right? These ice dancing, right? And so to be like, with the ice skates, I really loved that.
Yeah, I love that too. And I like that Tia is like a bit more responsible and also calls Moses on his bullshit. Like, don't go robbing people. Why? It's always trouble when you go out. Why are you like that? And in the end, you see a bit like why he's like that, but it's also good that he has a girlfriend who is like, no, don't do that shit. I don't like it. And,
she's having none of it.
Yeah, and I like that in her as well.
Yeah, she's calling him out on doing that at all, while meanwhile he's trying to say in his defense, like, if we had known you were from the block, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's fine if the person isn't from the block, but
yeah. But I also found it sad when that scene ends with them going away and saying to him, "It's always bad news with you." You see him cry. He is crying then, and I was like, that is so sad because it's a little boy. It's a little boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of bad stuff happens, and he does a lot of bad stuff. But it's a child. It's sad.
Yeah, I mean, they end up doing these amazing things that adults usually do in these alien invasion movies, right? But like what we get with Stranger Things, it's the kids that are having to deal with really adult things. And they're already, in very many cases, kind of an adultified children because of not having the best home life. So and then you have like the two younger kids, Pest and, is it Mayhem, Geaullie?
It's Props and Mayhem.
Props and, yes. So you have the little kids, right, who are then, you can see how they're going to then end up being very similar to these teens that we have, right? They're also going to feel lost and feel like they're not listened to, and they're going to act out. And also, I think this, like I said with the opening scene where, the scene after the mugging where they actually are fighting the first alien, there's this kind of like mob mentality of, come on, yeah, I get it, right? And so then when you have these two kids, they also kind of pump each other up about it. And then when they realize what's happening, they're like, oh no, we're in over our heads. So it's just kind of also a kind of vicious cycle of children not being thrown into the world, but not being ready for it. And no children should be asked to do these, or should, have to do these kinds of things. But I think that it also says a lot about how children from rougher neighborhoods, what we would consider rougher neighborhoods because of poverty, right, tend to have to be more grown up.
Yeah, be more grown up and like deal with stuff yourself, because there's no one there to help you. And that is what a lot of these kids feel. Like, one was living with his grandma. There's a story there. One was living with his sister, and it's like not big apartments, so it's a poorer neighborhood, so there's definitely also a story there. And then you have like the main character who lives with his uncle, who's not really there. And so it's,
that is a great moment though, when what's her name.
Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
Samantha.
Yes, Samantha. When
Sam.
she's in the apartment and she sees the bedroom and realizing that that John Boyega's character is actually just a kid, even though he looks older, and what is it? He's got Spider-Man blanket or something like that, and I think it does kind of hit, it hits a note of realizing that these kids are dealing with all this from such a young age, and I think it really does, even if you're someone who can't immediately sympathize with the perspective of some of these characters, it does really make you feel for this guy. So
I will say though, Sam, she's a nurse, and we were talking about this with Nessie, and I think Anna in the chat is also a nurse. Like, her refusing to help at first is really not nurse-like. You're supposed to help anyone, no matter what. Well, she was really holding a grudge.
I can kind of get that because they mocked her, and that is a very traumatic experience. So I can.
Yeah, but you're not going to let a kid bleed out on your couch just because taking property is not the same as life.
But she thought they were older at that point, because she only realized at the end, when she is in that apartment, that Moses is 15.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh, you looked older. I thought you were older." So she didn't know that they were young kids. She got mugged by them, and she was thrown on the ground. There was a knife involved. It was scary as fuck. It was scary. It's a traumatic experience. People can get PTSD of that stuff. So that she refused at first to let them into her apartment and help him. I kind of get that.
I get it, but I'm just saying every nurse that I've talked to is always like, you don't ever refuse care, but
okay,
that's the ideal and not the actual. I get that.
I think it might be different when you're actually in that situation.
Yeah.
Plus, she saw the cops die at that point. She has had a very bad night. She's finally home. She's, putting the keys into the lock, and then they're here again.
Also stinks me on the first floor when there's this alien invasion happening. You want to be as far away from the ground level as you can be, right? They keep going up to the weed room. So
to the weed room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the weed room. It's fun.
Just shows kids if you sell drugs, good things happen. Just kidding.
I really do think that
I don't think you get the whole listen kids thing.
This
every time it goes weird.
It's a stream that I'm gonna be able to just pull more and more audio clips from
and use against us.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and then also, hi-hats, the one of the bad guys in this movie. He is a bit of a caricature because he's a dumb rapper gangster, and he's literally kind of dumb.
This is the only point of the film which I would say that I found kind of weak, because I get that he thinks himself like this, badass who's not afraid of anything, and his priority is on his territory and everything. But it's like, no, if you're seeing, these, whether you think it's an alien or not, but these, monsters coming after everybody, including you're gonna just kind of forget about everything else except for survival at that point. And so I did find it kind of, it's a way to add another element of another obstacle to these characters. I think it didn't always quite work for me. So that would be the one part of the film that I would maybe take a little issue with.
And a lot of people in the chat are talking about the kind of the way that they talk to each other, like bruv, blood, fam. That was all very fun in the movie.
Yeah, I like it. And then you have like a large Caribbean influence in South London, like the West Indies, and you see also when they greet each other, a lot of them say wagwan, and that is Jamaican Caribbean slang, like for what's going on. And yeah, the guy did extensive research into the slang, and I really love that attention to detail with that, because it would that is how they talk. So it makes it more realistic.
They also had a term for the car. I can't quite remember, Geaulllie. They called cars
Whip.
Something. Whip. I love
Whips.
that. I love that
No,
so
that
much.
is not English. That I've heard it called the whip. I've heard it called a whip many times.
Really, I've never heard that.
But it's well, I've heard it in Kendrick Lamar, and other because they have it from that. It's from American United States hip hop. They listen to a lot of that as well. They make their own. Like you have grime artists and like hip hop. A lot of good hip hop in the UK.
Okay. Actually, now you say it, I'm also thinking of the song by The Weeknd where he talks about his whip. Okay. The saying like people respect my whip, and I was like, I didn't like his style. I didn't get what it was, but just saying his car.
People also respect his nene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I know, and I profess to be a hip hop fan. Look at me, I'm stepping all over myself in this stream.
Well,
nobody can know it all.
Yeah, you can't know it all, but there's a lot of American influence in the slang as well. Because of hip hop, you see them use it a lot. I can't really. I don't have really examples, but there's
well, the language is like, at least at its heart, the same language, so you can borrow phrases a lot easier that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and actually, this one bit that I found kind of interesting was towards the beginning when they're talking about, when they've first, killed the smaller alien and they're figuring out what to do with it, and somebody mentions about the FBI or something, and then somebody else says, we don't have the FBI here, and British equivalent. It just shows, like, I'm assuming that kind of comes from influence of like American films and
just like the police, they call them the feds.
Yeah,
that is also that comes from the United States.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it happens a lot. It's the same language, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's a version of like Area 51 in Britain where allegedly all of the proof of aliens are?
Dan, you're in the chat. Where's Area 51?
Yeah, where's Area 51 in England?
People are
or Dan or Potter. One of them. I don't know. Like, they have a lot of other weird stuff that they have, like weird areas like Stonehenge and all the things about that, and I think there should be, because there's a lot of, in the United States, a lot of rednecks getting probed and stuff. In England, you also have it in the countryside. There's a lot of talk about, there not a lot. There's more talk about aliens and alien abduction stories and like strange lights. So there's probably somewhere that they think there's some weird stuff going on there. But
We all know that
Nessie-
Area 51 is to distract us from the real Area 51, which is somewhere else.
and I think maybe the UK would be more into the magical conspiracy theories or the magical stories, because they have a lot of, ancient sites where they say it's haunted or all that stuff. There's a lot of history that was written down and that we know of, because it wasn't like destroyed by another civilization. We know about the stories of like haunted hills or moors or that stuff. So
Right on.
yeah,
Well,
but
I'm going to say this. That's more or less the 2-hour mark, too. I don't know that I really have much else to say about this film other than when I do revisit in the future, I'm looking forward to having a slightly different lens for it this time. So, yeah.
well, I think it's a good thing. We talked about it for 2 hours. The movie is only an hour and a half. So
Yeah, and Stephen, honestly, I always feel like I don't really see a film until I see it for the second time, because you're always going in with your expectations on that first viewing, and so you always end up not seeing the film that you were expecting to see, whereas on the second viewing you know what you're getting, and I think you can appraise it accordingly. So, and that's true even for me, because I've only seen the film once, so I'm actually looking forward to revisiting the film.
that's nice.
Right
That's
on.
nice. I wanted to have a little fun fact for John. It was also the debut of Stephen Price as composer, and for the movie, and he is primarily known for the movie score in Gravity.
Yeah.
That movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up, especially for you, because you were also always talking about movie scores. And I was like, it's his debut as well. And I don't know what you thought about it, but
Yeah, I can't say I paid particularly close attention to the score on this first viewing. Yeah, Amy, stop your shot. No, but I do know his work from Gravity, and that score in particular really drives a lot of that film, particularly in the last act. So he's a very talented composer. So that'll be one of the things that I pay closer attention to on a future viewing of this.
okay, that was all. I was just, I looked it up, especially for John.
I appreciate that. It's good to know that he was the composer.
Know your audience, right?
Yeah, I think the last thing that I want to say is just that what I appreciated about this movie is that it was so localized. It didn't feel like those grand War of the Worlds kind of sci-fi movie where you have multiple locations, like that it's kind of happening everywhere. We mostly see it in this South London neighborhood. And I really appreciated that, because even though I have such a hard time remembering the character names, you feel like you're really just following this group of kids and what's happening to them rather than what's happening to the world. And I really appreciated that. And I think that having it on a more minor, rather than a macro scale, kind of having a smaller scale, I think really makes you focus a lot more on kind of the human aspect of it rather than just kind of the grand, aliens attacking aspect of it, which, maybe they could have done with a bigger budget, but I really like that it was a smaller venture.
I do want to
more
make
about the humans than the aliens. It's more about the humans.
I do want to make a note real quick, because since you mentioned it, Geaullie, I went ahead and looked it up, and in between doing Attack the Block and Gravity, Stephen Price, the composer, also did The World's End, which I find just to be perfect, because you can draw a lot of similarities between this and The World's End.
Yeah, and he worked on on Lord of the Rings as well as
Yeah, he was in the music department for those.
Yeah.
For 2 of those films.
Yeah.
Cool.
So. But yeah, it was his debut as a composer for like the whole movie, so I like that. Well, I don't know if I like that. I found it interesting.
So since Stephen has placed me in the top corner here, any further observations on the film, guys?
Anything? Last chance? Okay. Guess not. Well, thanks guys for showing up. Thanks for putting up with my terrible internet connection. I literally rebooted and it seems to be a lot better after that, but still scared a little bit, you know? But anyway.
What was that, Stephen?
Shut up, John. I know better. I can tell because trust me, you're freezing on my screen when I'm freezing for you. But yeah. Thanks everyone for coming. I had a good time. I always like the best conversations are one where I don't always agree with someone. You know, there's something to like pick apart there. So I really appreciated that. Geaullie, thank you very much actually for recommending this film because I did enjoy it. Amy, thank you very much for coming and lending us your unique perspective. And also, hi Nessie. Can't wait to see you back here next week where we're going to talk about Christian, or not, no, we're not going to talk about Officer Allah. We're going to talk about Naomi Nagata. Sorry, so many badass women in that show, it's easy to get confused. But Nessie will be back next week. And we will have a guest, not sure who yet, going to ask someone who used to come on but hasn't been on in a while. We'll see. But yeah, so next week here on Here Be Dragons, Naomi Nagata. See you then. John, what's coming up on Joe Wolf?
You're going to be on next week, Stephen, with me and Amy and another guest, Lady Triple, to talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then the week after will be my interview with Doug Adams, author of the music of the Lord of the Rings films. And then the week after that, Amy and I and Jared are, the Knights of Kira are returning to talk about the film Colette. And then you'll see lots of Lord of the Rings coverage after that.
Right on. Amy, what's coming up over there on Amy Blackfire channel?
Yeah, so I've got that Dark Star discussion coming up, and then after that, it should be my discussion with Lo about colonialism and Orientalism in his Dark Materials, and then after that, it's going to be all Cersei with Rohan. So keep an eye out for that, and please subscribe to my channel. That'll be the way to know when stuff comes out, and follow me on Twitter.
Right on. And Geaullie, we're going to see you popping up here and there on Amy's channel and on this channel. Maybe John will have you over there on John Webster Film. If y'all can figure out what movie, I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to convince him.
There are so many good movies.
There really are. And to Amy and to Geaullie, thank you, really, both of you ladies, for coming to join us for this one. I would have been so in over my head on this if it was just me and John. This stream would have been 20 minutes. So
thanks for inviting me, and thanks for indulging me and watching the movie I raved about.
Yeah. Hey, like, I'm here for it. Like, this is what we do. We built our community, and that's kind of what it's about. So I want to thank you both for coming, really, truly, deeply. And I'll see you guys Friday for D&D. And to everyone in the chat, everybody who's made it this far to the end, if you haven't hit the like, please. And thank you all for joining us here live. We had a pretty good turnout this week for a film that is not as mainstream as some of the other stuff we cover. So I'm very happy with that, with the turnout. Thank you to all of you out there. And you know what it is. Until next time, how's it go?
Is it I believe it's peace.
And be excellent.
Be excellent to each other.
Be okay with each other.
Yeah.
Be nice to others.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be. Peace and don't be a dick. All right.
Yeah.
Be excellent to each other, everyone. We'll see you next time.